to being a pariah state, and its economy has taken an incredibly heavy hit out of this. Whatever victory the Libyan government feels it's going to achieve at the end of this conflict, everyone in Libya is paying an extremely heavy price.
Security forces in Saudi Arabia have opened fire during a protest in the country's east. The Saudi Interior Ministry says 2 protesters and a policeman were injured, but it says officers only fired into the air. Bernard Smith reports.
A second day of protests in the eastern Saudi Arabian city of Qatif. This footage is from YouTube and apparently shot on Thursday, although it can't be independently verified. What sounds like the crackle of gunfire comes from the distance. Saudi police are reported to have opened fire to disperse the crowd. At least 2 people were injured. This restive region is home to mainly Shia Muslims. Neighbouring Bahrain is 70% Shia and has been racked by weeks of protests. These scenes are just the sort of contagion feared by Saudi Arabia's Sunni Muslim leaders. And so, in a region where most rulers have extremely deep pockets, the Gulf Cooperation Council has decided to try and buy itself out of trouble. Bahrain and Oman are to benefit from a multi-billion-dollar aid package from their richer neighbours.
$10 billion for the Kingdom of Bahrain and $10 billion for the Sultanate of Oman. We believe that this is an ambitious program, but it also shows the strong support that comes from the GCC countries to the Sultanate of Oman and to the Kingdom of Bahrain.
In protests in Qatif on Wednesday, the crowd chanted "Down with the regime" and "No Sunni, no Shia, we are Muslim." But the Saudi Sunni leadership is deeply suspicious of the role of Shia powerhouse Iran. There is a call for protests across Saudi Arabia on Friday, despite an official ban. Witnesses in the capital, Riyadh, say riot police have started patrolling around shopping malls and main roads. Bernard Smith, AlJazeera.
An arrest warrant has been issued for Tunisia's former Interior Minister Rafik Belhaj Qassem on charges of murder. Now, that's according to the state news agency. Qassem was Interior Minister during the popular uprising which ousted President Ben Ali in January. He's accused of being complicit in the killing of scores of protesters and has been in police custody since February. The 2008 rebellion in Tunisia's Gafsa region was brutally crushed by the regime of then-President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali. But even after this year's Jasmine Revolution, which ended Ben Ali's rule, many people living there feel little in their lives has changed. Nazneen Mashiri reports from Gafsa.
This is a place where rebellion still hangs in the air. The words above these graves, the unemployed and the forgotten. This is at the heart of their protest. They want jobs and for the government in Tunis to stop ignoring their plight.
I feel excluded and oppressed, like I'm missing hundreds of things from my life. We see our wealth leaving this area, millions of dollars, and we are getting nothing.
The wealth is in the ground, in the phosphate mines which dominate the landscape. The government-run company makes millions of dollars a day selling this mineral abroad. Yet this is one of the poorest regions in Tunisia. In 2008, 3 years before the Jasmine Revolution, people here revolted. But their uprising was brutally suppressed. All of these men, more than 50 of them, were beaten and imprisoned.
The protests back then were censored. There was no media, no Facebook here. People were too scared to tell our story because the regime was too strong.
In the same village, we meet graduates in their late 20s who've never worked a day in their lives. They have a choice: either stay here, unable to get married or earn money, or try to migrate to Europe.
The government don't look for us to help us, to give a job, to give foods, to give money. It's so difficult.
Fem was imprisoned and separated from his wife for more than 3 years, simply for reporting what happened here in 2008. He says Tunisia's revolution is far from over.
Hundreds of thousands of people are still revolting. The revolution is still ongoing. We are in the middle of the road. This is about the dignity of human beings.
This is a region on the economic and social edge of Tunisia. People here feel disconnected with events in Tunis and the country's transition to democracy. Ben Ali and his political police may be gone, but there's still a deep sense of injustice here. Ben Ali's departure is just the beginning for this new nation. The transitional government must take notice of what's happening in Gafsa. The root causes of this revolution are not resolved. Nazanin Bashiri, Al Jazeera, Gafsa, in southern Tunisia.
The African Union has endorsed Alassane Ouattara as the rightful leader of Côte d'Ivoire. After a meeting in Ethiopia attended by Ouattara, the AU's Peace and Security Council said Laurent Gbagbo must leave office in the interests of the Ivorian people. Gbagbo's representative at the meeting said the resolution was untenable. Gbagbo has also declared a no-fly zone, which may be used to stop Ouattara returning from Ethiopia. The death toll from an earthquake which struck southwest China on Thursday has risen to 25. Hundreds of others have been injured and more than 1,000 families are homeless. As AlJazeera has more.
A partially collapsed building leans precariously and rescuers work frantically to save as many people as they can. Under the rubble, a woman lies trapped. Eventually they reach her and, as gently as possible, pull her to safety. The earthquake in China's southwestern province of Yunnan toppled more than 1,000 homes and apartments. It was the latest of more than 1,200 minor tremors in the region over the last 2 months. State television pictures showed buildings that had buckled, crushing their lower floors. According to the US Geological Survey, more than 1 million people may have been exposed to the worst shaking. The quake's epicenter was near the border with Myanmar, but the secretive government gave no information of the impact of the quake on its impoverished people. Azhar Sukri, Al Jazeera.
A bomb has exploded close to the gates of a school in the southern Philippines. The blast killed at least 4 people and wounded 10 on the island of Jolo. Police said they'd received reports of bomb threats earlier in the week. There's been no claim of responsibility, but Abu Sayyaf bandits have been blamed for past bombings. Thailand's so-called red shirts will take to the streets this weekend, almost a year after their failed attempt to bring down the government. Almost 90 people died in those protests. And as the government prepares for an election, many of the victims' families are still fighting for answers. Wayne Hay reports from Bangkok.
For almost a year, Pansak Sitep has been looking for answers, searching for someone to own up to killing his son.
What we want is the truth, but so far there have been no words offered.
17-year-old Samapan was shot in